I'd like to thank you all at the very beginning. I have a nice presentation that I'd like to show you all today. To be honest, when I was approached by Mr. Masoud to talk about giving an event for voluntary work at Qatar University, I thought of having this attractive title as voluntarism as the beauty or ornament of life. Yes, it's in reality, voluntarism or voluntary work is the beauty of life. It's it's the practice of life and it's the style of life. Let's uh, discover together how the journey of voluntary work started with me, where I will be narrating all experiences that I've been through. Through all this, I realized that voluntary work is the beauty of life. I cannot dispense with voluntary work. Whatever problems or commitments or responsibilities I might have, I cannot dispense with voluntary work. It has a great value in my life. I it's it's an integral part of my life. I cannot dispense with it. Voluntary work is the beauty of life. I feel really passionate and happy and honored to be doing voluntary work for people. At the very beginning, I'd like to introduce myself. Uh, I am, um, I am. I just want to correct that I am a tax specialist now in the Qatar Finance Center. This is the only piece that I would like to correct, and it's not the presenter's, the master of the ceremony fault. It's my fault because I didn't update this section. So you should never disconnect yourselves from your university after graduation. It's a place where you spent a number of years, where you have to be grateful and pay back what you have received. So my voluntary experiences started in 2008. Uh, uh, my voluntary experience started in 2008 when the school principal asked a group of female students to go and volunteer uh, in Drima for the Qatari Foundation for Orphanage called Drima, where I spent about 24 hours of voluntary work in this Drima organization. So I was one of these students approached by Al Wakra Preparato School for Girls. So I've been asked to spend an entire week with all orphans in this Dream organization to be part of voluntary work there for an entire week. This was a unique experience, and I was really surprised that we could do this with these orphan children in this organization. Uh, So after I completed this voluntary experience successfully, I started to realize the meaning of voluntary work. I started to realize that I am devoting some few hours of my time for the value of voluntary work. Um, I also had lots of connections and relations, so we I gained a lot of skills and experiences and made a lot of connections in such a young age. So I said to myself, why would I stop here? I need to take this further and continue to do other voluntary work and see how it works. Uh, I I I didn't know a lot about the details and nitty-gritty of the voluntary work. So I started to think about uh, I started to think about it's not only about getting a certificate for voluntary work that I got from the school for my efforts in Drima, but I just want to to uplift this and to scale it up to another level of voluntary work. So I started to do some other. I started to do. Sorry for the interruption. Uh, So with the youth organizations, I started to volunteer every summer for a month and a half for summer camps. I volunteered to be an organizing member of the committee, uh, uh, and it was really interesting to see the young people's celebrations and initiatives and being part of this. During this uh, experience, I found that I like to present. I like to be taking part actively in these initiatives. So I started to continue with them for 3 to 4 years within these summer initiatives for voluntary work, whether it is for mass media, for presentations, for collaborative and teamwork skills that I gained, and the many connections I acquired. And after that, I started to volunteer in many other places, like the vocational exhibition in 2007 and 2008. Qatar vocational exhibitions is one of the best exhibitions for different vocations. It was really unique as it entailed lots of ministries and governmental and non-governmental organizations working together in the same place and contributing to the event. I really had a desire to contribute voluntarily in these initiatives, and I love to be part of the mass media team during these events. Uh, so they approached me and said, "You're really doing an excellent job, and I'd like to be in charge of the mass media team with us." So I didn't expect to be in charge of such a big team, especially for mass media at such a young age, which was under the auspices of His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. I worked hard to do to do the job to the best of my capabilities and skills. Uh, I learned a lot from others' experiences as well to be in the best possible form and shape leading a mass media team. After that, uh, I had another volunteer experience. Um, I I was part of a leadership course at Qatar University. Uh, so where we came together to donate and organize a campaign for students with children with cancer, where we collect a lot of money and give it to them to for treatment, and it was for a whole month duration. It was really a nice experience, and it was attached to the university. So it reminded me of my university years, and I worked collaboratively with my colleagues at Qatar University and voluntary work in this cancer exhibition. Here I realized the importance and the significance of giving back for those in need, for those who need treatment of cancer, or who those who need the donations. It was really uh, a sensitive experience for me, uh, where we met lots of sick children with cancer, and it was really hard. Uh, so we had a strong feelings to do good for them, especially um, when we had a group of female volunteers to experience this uh, project and initiative. It should be a collaborative initiative, and I couldn't do it on my own, where everybody will be contributing to the good deeds and will also benefit from the skills and experiences for everybody. After that, any voluntary experience opportunities, I would just rush to be part of it. This is an old photo of mine. Last week, I I was invited to Injaz, Qatar, for their celebrations of the achievements, but I attended this as the director of Tomoa for community development. So it was really amazing. For all voluntary work, I go there as a volunteer, but this time I went as a director for Tomoa for community development, to double check that everybody doing their voluntary work to the best of their knowledge and skills. It was really a fantastic feeling. Um, in Tomoh for community development, I had a different voluntary experience. Um, since I joined Tomoh in 2013, it was a new experience for me, which is different from all other previous voluntary experiences. In Tomoh, I discovered myself more. I found out my skills and capabilities in other parts of organizations and management of initiatives and campaigns, and I was I was able to be an excellent presenter. I was also part of the public relations team, and so management and directing the voluntary work at Tomoh enriched my skills. Uh, so I gradually transitioned from the associate director to being the director of public relations. So this was about 13 years ago. Lots of experiences and lots of years from different positions in the same location, connections with other organizations, with ministries, all these. I wouldn't have obtained all these skills without voluntary work. So the voluntary work added a very strong point to my CV, which attracted employers to my CV, which made me different from any other university graduate. Uh, so I benefited a lot from voluntary work. So if I didn't gain skills from other training programs, I gained them practically from my voluntary work in Tomoh. So the practice of voluntary work uh, impacts your personality, impacts changes you on how you find out the points of strength and weaknesses in your personality, and how you overcome these weaknesses, and how you enrich your personality with the skills. So it's through voluntary work where you discover yourself. So I always challenged myself to do tasks, to organize initiatives for voluntary work, and at the end I succeed. Voluntary work in general means the time a human being spends, whether this time is physical effort, um, or financial, or intellectual, for the service of community without any return and without any pressure. So I had a strong belief in the Prophet hadith that everybody should work for the benefit of all around him. So you love the good for others. So the importance and significance of voluntary work is really important for the individual and for the community. For the individual, you will get the reward from God. You will gain lots of experiences and skills which are different from anywhere else. You will be gaining lots of relations and experiences. You will be learning how to work in teams. Uh, as you can see me presenting confidently in front of you, this has been part of what I did in voluntary work. Um, it, we always acquire lots of relations and experiences through voluntary work. It's it's a voluntary work that has no connection with money. So it's for the good, for the sake of good deeds in general. So it's the good intention that pays back at the end. Uh, as an individual, you learn how to work in teams. Uh, so in 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 we we will be realizing we will be realizing the value of voluntary work through working in teams. We cannot do it on our own individually. I'd like to tell you about the story of Surah Al-Kahf in the Quran, where it has lots of values. Uh, I'd like to focus on Dhul Qarnayn story. We might have read this verse in the Quran in Surah Al-Kahf a lot of time. When Dhul Qarnayn was about to build uh, to, to build the dam, uh, when the people surrounding the Qarnayn told him that Ya'juj and Ma'juj is coming to destroy us, so please build a dam for us to protect us from them. They are really destructive. So he requested that they help him. So the so he told them, please help me. So he requested the aid uh, from uh, uh, from the people around him to build the dam and to protect everybody from these destructive enemies. He requested him. Uh, he requested them to provide him with the materials and the iron to build this dam. So this verse in the Quran reminds me of the value of voluntary work and collaborative work in general, without any return from people, but the return will be from God. It should be a collaborative work. It should never be an individual work. Voluntary work also increases your self-confidence, where you find out points of strength that you didn't know about before. So this will enhance and promote your self-confidence. This will also voluntary work will also help you to be part of the giving spirit, which will be part of your lifestyle later. It will be part of your personality. Yes, it will be part of your personality for life. And also, another important point of voluntary work is the investment in the leisure time. We all have leisure time, but who invests this leisure time in voluntary work for the benefit of others? Now let's talk about the importance of voluntary work on the community. It supports the economic value of the country. So a real example of this was during World Cup, where we had lots of volunteers replacing the number of staff that we need for the World Cup. So this saved a lot of money and enriched the economy of the country and spread the economic value throughout the country. I remember during COVID-19. I was responsible for the employment at this duration. So I was really thinking about the number of volunteers that we have, without whom we could not find a solution to alleviate the COVID-19 and raise the awareness about it. So the economic value of voluntary work is really an important matter. And Tomoh were really very much paying attention to uh, to contact different organizations and tell them about how voluntary work would contribute to the economy of the country. Of course, voluntary work also will be resulting in a cohesive and coherent community, which will reduce and alleviate the burden of the governments. We've got role models in voluntary work, uh, like Mr. Abdurrahman Sumit. May Allah bless his soul. He devoted all his life. He is a physician. Uh, he decided to migrate to Africa and live there to spread da'wah for Islam in Africa. So he devoted all his life for the sake of voluntary work for the spread of Islam. Uh, as you can see here in this infographic, he he helped 11 million people to be a Muslim. He had 29 years in his dawah, and he has distributed 6 million Quran copies, and he had established 860 schools, 4 universities, and he helped the digging of 95 wells and many other good deeds. My questions to everybody: have you ever volunteered before? Have you ever experienced voluntary work? I can see voluntary work has been spreading. As I heard from Dr. Saba, that there are two courses where students will be doing voluntary work as part of it, like UNIF 200 and UNIF 220. My advice to all of you is not to restrict yourself to voluntary work within the fences of the university, but to go outside and start volunteering in different organizations. Now, let me talk about Tumuh as an organization. Our Tumuh for community engagement started as an initiative. We had a group of young people who started this initiative. So they wanted to offer voluntary experiences. So with the progress of time, we realized that we had to have an official launch of this voluntary based organization. So we started as a voluntary initiative, and then we started to have a commercial record in 2013, and then it started to move to an institutional work in 2015, and then a community entrepreneurial project in 2018, and until we reach it 2020 as Tumuh for community development as you know it now. So we needed to have a legal entity and identity. So we decided to have a commercial record for Tumuh as a non-profit organization, whose aim is voluntary work. We started to increase the number of volunteers from 10 volunteers until we reached 5,000 volunteers in our database currently. In 2020, we decided to enlarge our scope of Tumuh, and we decided to change the name to from Tumuh Initiative to Tumuh for Community Development. We enlarged our scope to offer other services as well as voluntary work. So Tumuh for Community Development has got a vision, a mission, and some values. Our values, as you can see here, is the sense of belonging, sustainability, innovations. After we were awarded the prize of voluntary young initiative in Kuwait among 650 initiatives in the Arab world, we started to enlarge our scope, and we've been part of many organizations. We have lots of achievements between 2011 and 2022. We have developed the first electronic website that offers volunteers many volunteering opportunities in state of Qatar. We have produced more than 30,000 voluntary work with the value of $450,000. We have collaborated with more than 100 non-profit governmental organizations in managing more than 80 voluntary programs. We have innovated lots of new techniques to empower the culture of voluntary work, like intellectual volunteering, and all the challenges, whether they are challenges or community challenges. We have launched the first song about voluntary work in Qatar, in which has got 11 million views on YouTube. We have trained more than 1,000 volunteers through the World Cup with the collaboration of Qatar museums in 2022. We have been officially working with DIC, the digital hub, which is part of the telecommunication and transportation in 2018. And we have been officially recognized from the Ministry of Education, and as we have been added to the curriculum of primary schools. We have lots of prizes, like we are together in Kuwait, and we've got other local awards as well. We've got lots of partners, as you can see here. Qatar University is one of the biggest partners for our work. We offer lots of services in parallel with the new vision and mission objectives. We offer voluntary experiences, social enterprises, management of initiatives, and training programs. We have lots of initiatives and programs, as you can see, and it's really varied and diversified, which include camps, campaigns. One of the strongest programs for us is a book in 72 hours, where you can write a book. So groups of people will come together to write a book in 72 hours. So groups of volunteers, we have produced 2 books. We have a book called The Inspirer, the one who created community content, and we have got another one about talking in Arabic. So we trained about 40 participants to produce the community content, and we have also offered training programs to help those who are non-native speakers of Arabic to be able to talk in Arabic. We had this training program held twice a year to help them talk in Arabic. We have lots of training programs where we train volunteers, like World Cup volunteers, with the Supreme Committee for Legacy and Delivery. We trained more than 1,000 volunteers during World Cup with the collaboration with Qatar Museums, and we have trained life skills in AWS program in collaboration with the MA and other programs. We have trained Let's Talk in Arabic with the collaboration of Qatar National Library. We have trained Darb al-Sa'i volunteers. We have Pioneer volunteers with Qatar University Volunteer Center. And now it's time to open up the floor for questions, if you've got any questions. Thank you very much, Ms. Fatma Tawil. Now it's time for Dr. Masoud Abdel Hadi to manage the question and answer session. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sondus, and thank you very much, Ms. Fatma Tawil, for your beautiful and enriching history of voluntary work. If any student has got a question, please raise your hand and you can open up the mic and ask your questions. From your point of view, what are the challenges that you might find as a volunteer? Can you please provide us with personal examples from your experience? Many challenges were faced. we try our best to overcome these challenges. Before Tumuh, I volunteered in other centers and organizations, and uh, one of the challenges is the bureaucratic style of management in some organizations. So it takes a long process for approvals and logistics. So in Tumuh, we we uh, we did our best to overcome this bureaucratic style of management. Uh, we tried to create a positive environment where uh, uh, we do not stand against any creative ideas. Uh, s- so uh, the idea of creating a book in groups with 72 hours was really an abnormal idea, and many organizations objected to this idea, but at the end we succeeded to do it. We love to have creative ideas that are untraditional, unfamiliar in nature. So it's really the hands-on approach that will help you to experience the volunteering experience. Now, moving to the volunteer perspective, how can a volunteer balance his time after facing one or two challenges? He will surrender and he will not volunteer again. But how can male and female volunteers develop themselves to be able to be persistent in volunteering? The most important part for me is continuity, well, at the individual level or at the initiative level. So I should never tell myself that there are no opportunities. I should be always looking for opportunities to learn from them. We should never stop knocking on doors of opportunities to volunteer. We always try our best to reach to be continuous in our efforts for voluntary work. Have a strong intention that your work is for the sake of God. So the good intention, everything will be eased for you if you have got a good intention to volunteer. And it's really important to be continuous in your efforts. It's really important to surround yourself with people who are really positive and who can encourage us and help us to overcome any challenges. Thank you very much. Another question to do you have a section in or a department in Tomoh for children, or is it only for young people? So yes, we have in Tomoh a department for or initiative for the children, starting from children aged 11 or more. We've got another question from Hassan Safa. Uh, how uh, how can I find out which field can I volunteer in? To be honest, I volunteered in protocol. Volunteered in public relations, in mass media, in receptions, in customer service. I volunteered in many areas where I have experienced lots. You have to experience. You have to experience volunteering in many places and many locations and many jobs, and you will find out the best field where you feel passionate about volunteering. So with the passage of time, you will you will convert voluntary work from part of a study to being passionate about doing it. So don't focus on one area for voluntary work. Try many. Try many initiatives and try many roles, and then after which you will be able to decide which track you will follow. Um, so after I tried presentations and customer service, now I find myself more interested in managing and directing طموح. Okay, interesting. So experience is the most important aspect. Uh, how can I how can I practically convert voluntary work to be a lifestyle? How can I have some free time for voluntary work among the different responsibilities for family, for studies? Uh, there's a famous saying that says, if you love, you can. So while I was doing my master degree, I was involved in training volunteers for 3 months, every weekend for 3 months. So to be an employee in the morning and to be a postgraduate studies doing masters in the evening, it's really hectic. But the 3 hours every weekend will energize me every week to do my job properly in the morning and do my studies properly in the evening. So it's really important. It gives me the energy and the passion to continue what I love to do. 1 or 2 hours a day for voluntary work will energize me for the rest of the week. I finish my work at 3 o'clock, after which I have to practice voluntary work after 3 o'clock every day for an hour, for half an hour, as your time permits. One voluntary experience per week, but a practice is the only way to make it a lifestyle. Practice it every week, every day, whenever the opportunity permits, until it becomes a daily routine or a life routine. There is another question by Miss Ahlam. Is voluntary work at Qatar University compulsory or optional? It's part of other courses like UNIF 200 and UNIF 220, but the university, Qatar University, encourages students to be part of the volunteer culture. And the most important question here for our student Rajwa, I don't have any skill. How can I volunteer? I think you are unfair to yourself. Nobody has no skills. You didn't give yourself the chance to find out all the skills you have. Any skill would require time and practice. Give yourself time to practice voluntary work. repetition of and practice of doing voluntary work will enhance your skill. So I was started to be a presenter at school, and then I was the master of ceremony at Hamad bin Khalifa and at Qatar University. So it's continuous practice where you develop yourself and you develop your skill all the time to discover and to develop your skill. I wish that you'll take this into consideration and start giving yourself a chance. Another question from Haya. How can you convince and persuade the surrounding environment to do voluntary work as they might think that this is just a waste of time? How can we persuade people, especially close family members, to do voluntary work, especially when you are a female student who needs the approval of the parents to volunteer, whether inside Doha or outside Doha? To be honest, I I am the only daughter for my mother. My mother was really afraid that my daughter will be lost when doing involuntary work. So I invited her to come and join me in any voluntary experience. And also, this was the experience of many other female volunteers, where their mothers joined them during the event to see what they are doing, to feel secure that their daughters are in safe hands, and this is a safe environment for them to volunteer and to do voluntary work. Why don't you be the starting point? Let them join you to any volunteer experience and see what you're doing, and they will realize that they are a strong value to the community. They are developing the community. They will realize the importance and significance of voluntary work. So it's really important. Yes. Day after day, their perspectives will be changed. So it's not necessary that you will have the same group of volunteers everywhere you go. You might be finding lots of people going into different initiatives in different organizations. Another question by Qibla Al-Ahbabi. For Tomoh, do you have only the website? We have a website, we have all social media platforms. You can follow us and finding opportunities. Another question from Hassan Safa. As an organization organizing this volunteering initiatives, volunteering opportunities, which is better to hire highly skilled people to do the job for organizing an event, or to invite volunteers to come and do the task, help me with my initiatives. So in other words, which is better, to invite volunteers to help us with our initiative, or to hire and pay for highly skilled workers? Of course, if you hire professionals, you will be paying a lot of money for them. Of course, a highly qualified, experienced professional will be doing the job in an excellent way. But if you think the other way around, where we get volunteers where they will be having the sense of belonging. They will learn skills from each other, will be developing their skills and experience. They will love what they're doing. They will love and they will be having a sense of belonging. So it's really important to have interviews with any volunteers, and we don't accept anybody. Based on the interview, I can clearly say that this person needs one or two training programs, and then he can help or she can help us. Or based on the interview, I can decide that this person is really skilled and he is coming to volunteer his skills and knowledge. So I really emphasize the significance of holding interviews as organizing the event for those who will be volunteering with us. What's the other part of the question? Many organizations offer volunteering opportunities, but do not accept each and every volunteer who applies for it. So for the mega sports events in the Supreme Committee for Legacy and Delivery opens the doors for lots of volunteers. We cannot restrict the number of volunteers, so each organization has its own policy for recruiting volunteers. It's really important that you have varied volunteering experiences in different non-profit organizations, and your name will be shining as a star in the field of voluntary work. What you're saying is really true. If we apply this to volunteers who come to the sports club, who help each other, it's part of voluntary work in a way in the field of sport. At the end, I'd like to thank you very much, Ms. Fatma Al-Tawil, Director of Al for Community Development. Thanks very much for sharing your enriching experience, skills, and your narratives. Thank you very much. It's really a pleasure and honor that I'm giving back to the Qatar University a session or a webinar on voluntary work. It's really a privilege and an honor to be benefiting my Qatar University students and staff and sharing experience. I wish you all the best, and I wish my webinar was fruitful, changing you for the better and highlighting the importance of voluntary work, whether it is in Students Club or other initiatives. And I wish you the best of luck for future initiatives. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much, everybody. We have more than 150 attendees in Arabic and English, and I'd like to thank all the students, all Qatar University staff, and all the organizing committee. I'd like to thank you everybody. Thank you very much, everybody, for the success of this webinar. See you later. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.